Kasi papa work, papa kelas. Bring adik di sana lah. Bring adik tu mama. Apa? Okay, jom. The highest score ialah Hana Najiha and Siti Shakira Zafira. Siti Shakira Zafira. Okay, jom. Dah ke? Jom. Mana Mardiah Najwa dengan Dini? Apa?
Kejap answer.
Okay. Abaikan di belakang Bunyi bising-bising tu. Kanak-kanak riang.
Dah nampak ke tak nampak lagi?
Not yet. Not yet.
Kejap answer.
Okay.
Audio dengar ke sir?
Belum. Tak. Saya tak dengar ini.
Tak
Dia ada setting-setting tu kan?
Belum answer. Kejap.
Belum. Tak dengar. On audio. Ya. Mama. Kas dengan adik.
Professional body
Dengar
standard and certificate.
Dengar.
Okey, kejap
Assalamualaikum. Good evening. Today, my group will present on the professional body standard and certificate. Next. Okay, get to know us. The first picture is myself, Johata Diminti, and the next picture is Mardiah Najwa. Okay, this is the first part, which is Nation Institute of Accountant, which is MIA. This established under the Accountancy Act 1967, which is MIA is the National accountancy body that regulate, which is they develop, support and enhance the integrity, status and interest to the profession in Malaysia. Okay, MIA, which is their accord, the Chartered Accountant Nation, or which is CAM, which is designed to a professional in accountancy in a business and finance with a recognized qualification and the relevant experience. Okay. Then the next point is the MIA, which is connect its membership to a wide range of information resources, event, professional development, and networking opportunities. Okay, this MIA, the international look and the connection are reflected in membership, which is the regional and international professional organization, which is they have Asian Federation of Accountants, AFA, and the International Federation of Accountants, which is IFAC. Okay, the purpose of MIA, it is to regulate and develop the accountancy profession to support the economic growth and the nation building. The third is the MIA vision. It is purpose to regulate and develop the accountancy profession to support the economic growth and the nation building. Okay, the next slide. Okay, the value, it is first one is the integrity, mutual trust and respect, professionalism, accountability, commitment, teamwork, and the sustainability. Okay, the MIA strategy objective, which is develop and enhance the competency of accountancy professional to stay relevant to the business and the market demand. For the second one is the nature of the professional value and ethics of member to uphold a strong accountancy profession. Okay, the third is to regulate and develop the practice of the accountancy profession, which is consistent with a global standard and the best practice. Okay, the last part is the promote the value proposition of the accountancy profession and the continuously upbuild the global recognition. Okay, the next slide. Okay, this is the MIA function, which is Section 6 of the Accountants Act 1967. First one is to determine the qualification of person for admission as members. Second is to provide for the training and education by the institute or any other body. Okay, the third one is the excellent for capturing this audience beyond at one-time event. Okay, the fourth is the approve the MIA qualification examination, which is QE, which is to regulate and supervise the conduct of the examination. Five is the regulate the practice of the profession. Six is to promote in any manner it thinks fit to interest to the profession. Okay, seven is to render pecuniary or to other assistant member or their dependents as it thinks fit with a view to protecting or promoting to welfare members. Last is to do such act as it thinks to fit for the purpose for achieving any of the aforesaid objective. Okay, the next slide. Okay, for the membership and education, it is comprised for main sector, which is the namely commerce and industry, public practice, public sector, and the academia. It is important, which is there to bring all the accountants into one community to develop their and they will grow the accountancy profession. Okay, in this their members, they have the MIA place, which is their membership service as their priority and daily activities. Okay, for the function, MIA specified the Accountants Act 1967, regulating the profession to providing the training and education for promoting the interest to the accountancy. Okay, the MIA rule, which is their support and promote the development of accounting education in the country, which is they have the greater challenge and also the responsible to ensuring the both existing and their future professionalism. Okay, the next slide. Okay, the MAICSA, which is the Nation Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators, they founded 1959 and as affiliated body to Chartered Governance Institute, CGI. Okay, The Chartered Governance Institute (CGI) is leading the professional body for the Chartered Secretary and Chartered Governance professional in the United Kingdom and throughout the world. Okay, on 16 September 2019, they formalized the Chartered Governance Institute from Institute of Chartered Secretary and Administrator. MAICSA is a founder member of Corporate Secretary International Associate Limited CSIA. Okay, the vision is to be premier professional body in promoting good governance and best practice in organisation. For the mission is to provide education and training in the good governance, ethical practice, and the corporate administration. Okay, it is to undertake research, development, and publication of governance guide and standard. It also to commit chartered secretaries to uphold and advocate good governance principle and practice. Okay, next slide. MAICSA objective is to be an integral member of an international professional organization, whether within the ICSA fraternity with other governance related body globally. Okay, the second is effective governance structure, which is to have large enough to have the mixture of experience necessary for growth, small enough to be agile, able to respond quickly to the time-sensitive market issue. Okay, the third one is good social tools for managing community relations like consultant, consensus, consideration, and accommodation for over the political tools. Okay, the last is a clearly state vision and mission to have focus on the development of good practice of corporate secretaryship, governance, and leadership. Okay, the next slide. Okay, for the roles of company secretary, which is for the first, they have the preparation of board meetings. Second is the officer of the company and advisor to the board. Third is filling the annual returns. Fourth is the compliance with statutory requirement and advisory. For the last, they will have the custody of the company seal. Okay, for the membership, they have two grades of membership, which is associate and fellow. They have election to membership can only be applied by those who have passed the institute examination and they will be admitted as the graduateship. Okay, the graduateship is the successful finalized in the institute examination are automatically transferred to the graduateship and may use the designation letter, which is the CGI grade. Okay, associateship, they have must at least 6 relevant working experience and the designation letter, which is associate ACIS, which is the CS and CGP. For the fellowship, they have the senior grade of membership. They have election to fellowship can only be applied by the allied by associate. Okay, which is they have must at least 8 years of the relevant working experience. Okay, the next slide. Okay, for the CTIM, which is they have background, which is they have Chartered Tax Institute of Malaysia, which is they have a significant role as the premier professional body responsible for the matters of concerning taxation in this country. Okay, the Chartered Tax Institute Malaysia is a former under the auspice of the Malaysia Institute Accountant, MIA, which is they established in 1991. Okay, for the CTIM, which is they have only professional body in Malaysia to provide an entry level to the world taxation. Okay, this objective is to train and build a pool of qualified taxation personnel as well as to foster and maintain the highest standard of the professional ethics. Okay, the next slide. Okay, the mission statement is the premium body for tax professional, which is to be the premium body providing the effective institutional support to members and promoting the convergence of interest with government using the taxation as a tool for the nation's economic advancement. It is also to attain the highest standard to the technical and professional competency. For the taxation, which is they have as a career. For the first is they have tax professional in a demand because all the organization, whether small or medium or the large conglomerates, require taxation advice. They have other function of tax professional First is advising on structuring of executive remuneration package, advising on type of investment incentive provided by the government. Third, advising on restructuring and recognizing scheme which may lead it may involve the transfer of share and real property, trading stock, fixed asset and debtors. Okay, the fourth is advising the both local and foreign investor, and last is cross-border tax planning. Okay, the next slide. Okay, membership of CITM is institute a membership based of the professional body for tax professional in Malaysia, which is the membership of institute are serviced by the membership service department. This membership is associate member who meet the relevant qualifying criteria are invited to apply to be the fellow members. Okay, this is the qualification, which is they have application for admission to membership institute, which is they will be reviewed by the membership committee, and if they recommended for the approval, they will forward the council for a decision. Okay, next. The MIIAM, which is the Institute of Internal Auditor Malaysia. It is non-profit professional organisation which is dedicated to the advancement and development of the internal audit profession in Malaysia. The MIIAM Malaysia was established in 1977 as chapter of the Institute Internal Auditor in corporate USA and elevated to the status of National Institute in 1988, which is their membership is exit the 500 mark. Okay. In 1994 July, IIAM Malaysia was incorporated as the company limited by guarantee, which is they grown progressively in size and statute, which is they serve more than 3,000 members in Malaysia. Okay, next slide. Is the vision, which is the internal audit professionals, which is they are recognized as indispensable to effective governance, risk management and control. The mission is to provide the dynamic leadership for the global professional of internal auditing, which is they are advocating and promoting the value that internal audit professionals add to their organization. Second is they provide comprehensive professional educational and development opportunities. Third is researching, disseminating and promoting knowledge, educating practitioners and other relevant audience on best practice. Thus is to bring together their internal auditor to share the information and experience. For the objective, they will have recognized the voice for the internal audit profession. They develop and sustain the internal audit profession in Malaysia through the appropriate infrastructure, coordination, support and communication. They have also provided the exceptional service to IIA Malaysia members. They have the roles, which is they have assessed the management risk. They are advising the management in all levels. They also have analyzed the operation and confirm information. Okay, next. The membership. For the first one is the individual membership, which is they have the honorary member, which is the comfort status. The second one is the fellow member, the comfort status upon the person who have achieved the distinction in their profession and who have the make value contribution. And they also have the professional member, and the fourth is the associate member, which is this is to class open who are engaged in field related to internal auditing. In the five is the student member, which is they have opened this class to engage the study of internal auditing. Okay, the second is the corporate membership. It is class to open organization or company who nominate the employee as their representative. Okay, the third is the audit committee membership, which must be a company director, executive or non-executive, who has been currently serving as a member of the board of audit committee. Okay, the next slide. Pass to Mardia.
Right, thank you, Dini. So for the next one is the MASB, which is Malaysian Accounting Standards Board. It was established under the Financial Reporting Act 1997 as the standard setting body of Financial Reporting Foundation, whose functions shall be the determination and issuance of accounting standards for the preparation of financial statements, in which they are required to be prepared or lodged under any law administered by the Securities Commission Malaysia, Bank Negara Malaysia, and the registrar of the companies. So the MASB, together with the FRF, make up the frameworks for financial reporting in Malaysia, and the standards comprises an independent standard setting structure with representation from all relevant parties in the standard setting process, which includes preparers, users, regulators, and also accountancy profession. Okay, next, so these are all the functions and powers of the MASB as provided under the Act, which is first, issue new accounting standards as approved accounting standards, review, revise, or adopt as approved accounting standards existing accounting standards, amend, substitute, suspend, defer, withdraw, or revoke any approved accounting standards in whole or in part, or issue, approve, review, revise, amend, substitute, suspend, defer, withdraw, or revoke any issues bulletin in whole or in part. Okay, but I won't be taking up so much time to mention all the functions and powers as per stated in the Act. So you guys can check it out and to go to the website to self-read by yourself for more understanding. Okay. The next one is the MASB missions, which is to develop and promote high quality accounting and financial reporting standards that are consistent with international best practice for the benefit of users, preparers, auditors, and the public in Malaysia. And MASB also seeks to participate in and contribute to the development of a single set of financial reporting standards for international use. Okay, so MASB is also guided by a clear set of policy objectives. So these are the set of policy objectives, which is first to develop high quality accounting standards for financial reporting that benefit users, preparers, auditors, and also the public, to participate in and contribute to the International Accounting Standards Board, IASB, standard setting process in the development of a single set of high quality, globally accepted financial reporting standards for international use, to collaborate with other national standard setters for the development of globally accepted financial reporting standards for international use, to promote the use and seek views on the application of accounting and financial reporting standards by way of engagement and dissemination of information to users, preparers, auditors, and the public. Okay, so these set of policy objectives can also be self-reading materials for you guys. So you guys can just go to their website and read it to gain more and more understanding. Okay, so the next one is the IFRS, which is International Financial Reporting Standards. IFRS is a not-for-profit public interest organization to develop a single set of high quality, understandable, and foreseeable and globally accepted accounting and sustainability disclosure standards, and to promote and facilitate adoption of the standards. It developed by two standard setting boards, which is the International Accounting Standard Board, IASB, and the latest one is International Sustainability Standards Board, ISSB. So IASB sets IFRS accounting standards. Meanwhile, ISSB sets IFRS sustainability disclosure standards. So IFRS accounting standards actually set out how a company prepares its financial statements, and the IFRS sustainability disclosure standards set out how a company discloses information about the sustainability. And the boards work closely to ensure that the standards complement each other as to provide the investors with transparent and reliable information, as well as the information about sustainability factors. So the mission for IFRS is to develop standards that bring transparency, accountability, and efficiency to financial markets around the world. Their works to serve the public interest by fostering trust, growth, and long-term financial stability in the global economy. So these are the mission. IFRS standards bring transparency by enhancing the international comparability and quality of the financial information, enabling investors and other market participants to make informed economic decisions. IFRS also strengthen accountability by reducing the information gap between the providers of capital and the people to whom they have entrusted their money, and also to contribute to economic efficiency by helping investors to identify opportunities and risks across the world. So IFRS are currently required in more than 140 jurisdictions and permitted in many more. So the last one is the Generally Accepted Accounting Principle, which is GAAP. Okay, so GAAP are standards that encompass the details, complexities, and legalities of business and corporate accounting. So FASB uses GAAP as the foundation for its comprehensive sets of approved accounting methods and practices. So there are 10 GAAP principles, which is principle of regularity, which compliant accountants strictly adhere to established rules and regulations. Principle of consistency, consistent standards are applied throughout the financial reporting process. Principle of sincerity, which is compliant accountants are committed to accuracy and impartiality. Principle of permanence of methods, which is consistent procedures are used in the preparation to all financial reports. Principle of non-compensation, all aspects of an organization's performance, whether positive or negative, are fully reported with no prospect of debt compensation. And principle of prudence, speculation does not influence the reporting of financial data. Principle of continuity asset, which is asset valuations assume the organization's operations will continue. Principle of periodicity, which is reporting of revenues is divided by standard accounting periods such as fiscal quarters or fiscal years. Principle of materiality, financial reports fully disclose the organization's monetary situation. And the last one is principle of utmost good faith, which is all involved parties are assumed to be acting honestly. So basically, the GAAP compliance makes the financial reporting process transparent and standardized assumptions, terminology, definitions, and also the methods. So external parties can easily compare financial statements issued by GAAP compliant entities and safely assume consistency, which allows for quick and accurate cross-company comparisons. And then the standards also deliver transparency and continuity as they enable investors and stakeholders to make sound evidence-based decisions. And the last one, the consistency of GAAP also allows companies to more easily evaluate strategic business options for their company. So now we go for the past year paper questions, which is we decided to take it from UiTM December 2016. Question 1.3, the convergence of accounting standards refers to the goal of establishing a single set of accounting standards to be used internationally, known as IFRS. So convergence in some form has been taking place for several decades, and efforts today include projects that aim to reduce the differences between accounting standards. So discuss briefly 4 potential benefits of adopting international financial reporting standards. So 10 marks. Okay, so this is the answer. So first we put the introduction because when the question asks us to give 4 potential benefits, so I assume for 4 benefits, 8 marks because 1 point and 1 explanation for each point. So the 2 more marks came from introduction and also the conclusion. So for the introduction, IFRS standards are based on sound and clearly stated principles that benefits all stakeholders in the years to come, together with improved corporate governance and increased free flow of capital across the globe. So first point is IFRS bring transparency by enhancing the international comparability and quality of financial information, as this enable investors and other market participants to make informed economic decisions. The second point is IFRS strengthen accountability by reducing the information gap between the providers of capital and the people to whom they have entrusted their money. This is because their standards provide information that is needed to hold management to account as a source of globally comparable information. IFRS are also vital importance to regulators around the world. The third point is IFRS contribute to economic efficiency by helping investors to identify opportunities and risks across the world, thus improving capital allocation. And the explanation, in fact, for businesses, the use of a single trusted accounting language lowers the cost of capital and reduces international reporting costs. And the last point is IFRS has brought net benefits to capital markets. The documented benefits include a lower cost of capital for some companies and increased investment in jurisdictions adopting IFRS standards. So the conclusion is IFRS address this challenge by providing a high quality, internationally recognized set of accounting standards that bring transparency, accountability, and efficiency to financial markets around the world. The next question is the RTM Pasir paper, December 2018. Question 3A. So briefly explain three main functions of the MASB, which is Malaysian Accounting Standard Board. So 6 marks. So we assume that every point contribute to 2 marks, which is the first point is issue new accounting standards as approved accounting standards, which is approval of MASB. Approved accounting standards are related to documents, including the conceptual framework for financial reporting, exposure draft, and other discussion documents is the sole responsibility of the MASB. The second point is review, revise, or adopt as approved accounting standards, existing accounting standards. So when the relevant issues have been identified, a working group chaired by a member of the MASB and comprises a project manager, representative from industry, auditors, and regulatory authorities are appointed by the MASB to debate on the issues. And lastly, following from the research and deliberation, the findings are presented to the MASB for the review. The last point is amend, substitute, suspend, defer, withdraw, or revoke any approved accounting standards in whole or in part. So for MPERS issues, the MASB decides whether to make a submission to the ISB or to amend them to improve the financial information for users of financial statements of those entities that qualify to apply the standards. So that contributes to 6 marks for the second question. So I think that's all from us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mardiah and Dini. This one recording kan?
Ha, sir.
Semua dah bagi recording tak dalam G Drive? Dah
Yang
masuk dalam
last
YouTube channel tak?
Yang last week
Bagi
punya
Sally.
belum sir.
So nanti masuk dalam YouTube channel, video you masuk dalam G Drive and slide you masuk dalam G Drive. Tak apa Ma, you share je you punya slide because I nak go through your slide lah. Okay, one question, one bonus mark. Okay, now I open to the floor to ask question. Okay, ada soalan daripada floor? Siapa nak dapat bonus mark? Okay, kalau tak ada soalan, jom kita go through this slide. Okay, start daripada yang atas ya, yang atas. First slide. Okay. First professional bodies in dalam slide ni is Malaysian Institute of Accountant. Semua orang account kena tahu yang kita ni is under the Malaysian Institute of Accountant. You mesti tahu MIA. You kena tahu dan you kena faham dan you kena dapatkan ada sedikit info tentang MIA. Because dekat sini dia mention pasal GE tu. GE ya. Dalam ni dia mention pasal QE, qualifying examination. Kalau you nak jadi MIA member, you kena pergi MIA Qualifying Examination, MQE, which consists of 4 papers. Ini you kena ingat untuk jadi MIA member. Basic dia di Malaysia ni, ini adalah professional yang related dengan accounting lah, professional bodies yang related dengan accounting, dan you boleh dapat jadi member dan dapat you punya sijil tu ialah Certified Public Accountant, CPA. Maksudnya you dah dapat dah title Chartered Accountant tu. Sekejap. Sekejap ni. Saya tengah cari satu. Bila nak cari tak jumpa. Tak ada. Tak cari. Cop. Timbang. Okey, tak ada. So nanti kalau saya jumpa, saya share. Okay, sini. So for those yang nak kerja dengan MIA pun, no problem at all. You boleh apply. So this one pun is considered as your future career juga kalau you nak kerja dekat semua professional body semua. And then MIA biasanya dia akan buat dia punya annual conference. Every year dia buat. dah lama saya tak join because COVID. So sekarang dia buat virtual. And then bila you dah kerja nanti, I encourage you to involve dalam apa-apa aktiviti yang MIA buat lah. Normally company under training, staff training, dia akan ada, tengoklah, it depends on company. Kadang-kadang ada yang hantar untuk you pergi training under MIA punya. And then untuk you jadi MIA member, you kena 3 tahun pengalaman kerja, 3 years experience, baru you boleh apply. And then you kena ada mentor and mentee. So saya dah pun approve seorang mentee saya untuk jadi MIA member. So this year expected to untuk jadi referral kepada another one mentee. So in total baru ada 2 mentee. So saya akan approve dia punya application untuk menjadi MIA member. And then dia akan dapat certificate as a chartered accountant untuk Malaysia. 3 tahun, after 3 years lah you baru boleh apply. So dalam masa 3 tahun tu you ambil lah MQE tu, MIA Qualifying Examination. Okay, next slide. Okay. Ini MIA, MICSA is Company Secretary. For those yang jadi Company Secretary, bila you jadi MIA member, you terus boleh apply jadi MICSA member. You boleh jadi Company Secretary juga. So MIA member dia boleh jadi Company Secretary. Company Secretary biasanya kalau you ada senang berhad company, and then you kena ada Company Secretary. Then you pun boleh jadi company secretary bila you ada MIA pun, bila you dah jadi MIA member. So semua ni professional body you kena tahu. Company secretary pun ada dia punya association dia, tax pun ada, internal audit pun ada, risk management pun ada. Dia banyak. And then Mar, you scroll down lah sebab sekarang ni kita dekat MAICSA. Next, CTIM. CTIM ni ialah tax. Kalau you nak jadi tax agent, you kena jadi member of CTIM. This one is memang special untuk tax, yang tadi untuk company secretary, yang atas tu accounting, yang bawah tu internal audit, ada risk, ada macam-macam. And then you boleh join je mana-mana based on you punya preference. Yang saya nak highlight dekat sini biasanya untuk orang accounting, MESB, MIA, tu benda-benda yang sangat penting. Organisation sangat penting. CTIM, tax. Okay. Next ialah MIIAM. Okay. The Institute of Internal Auditor. Kalau yang jadi internal auditor pun boleh, tak ada masalah. Di RB Highcom Berhad pun ada internal audit department, and then you boleh apply jadi member of MIIM. Okay, dia ada banyak advantage kalau you jadi member dekat professional bodies ni. Advantage dia bila you ada certificate, and then bila you pergi interview, and dengan adanya you punya certificate ni, definitely you akan ada sedikit advantage. And then you boleh sign auditor report lah kalau you dah jadi chartered accountant. You boleh sign lah kalau macam you nak buka accounting firm ke, audit firm ke, tax firm ke, semua you boleh sign semua sekali. It depends on level lah. Kalau macam accounting firm, you tak ada, you jadi maksud kalau you nak sign financial statement untuk enterprise, you dah boleh. Kalau audit firm untuk senang berhad, contoh-contoh dia. Kalau tax, untuk tax punya computation. Next yang saya nak highlight adalah MASB ni. MASB ni, Mar tadi dia kena baca satu-satu. Sebab bila you baca satu-satu, you nampak dia memang relate dengan conceptual framework. Sebab dia kata kat sini, contoh ni ya. Second last tu dia kata monitor the operation of approved accounting standard to assess their continued relevance and if their effectiveness. Kat situ ingat ada konsep framework daripada apa? Useful financial information situ. And then characteristic of useful financial information tu dia kena ada apa-apa-apa. So MASB yang menjaga standard di Malaysia menjaga MFRS dan juga MPERS, dan dia yang akan tengok sama ada standard kita dah outdated. Bila outdated dia akan yang atas lah, yang 1, 2, 3, 4, nombor 3, 4, 5 tu amend, substitute, suspend, defer, withdraw, revoke, any approve. That's why yang hari tu you kata proses-proses yang lupa proses apa yang last previous presentation tu. Semua tu MIA yang buat. Daripada nak create standard baru, lepas tu nak pergi kat proses-proses semua tu, nak buat proses hearing, proses discussion, proses tu semua melibatkan MIA. Dan ini insyaAllah soalan ni akan appear. Saya akan create satu soalan untuk topik ni dekat test dan juga final assessment you. Sebab you kena tahu MIA, MASB benda-benda penting untuk accounting theory and practice. Sebab you cerita pasal accounting theory and then accounting practices, MASB adalah number 1. Bila cerita pasal standard di Malaysia, MFRS tu. Dia yang handle semua. Kalau you suka buat, kalau you suka jadi law, you jadi accounting lawyer, you nak baca semua standard tu, you kerja dekat MASB. You boleh create standard tu. You boleh buat, you boleh issue standard baru, you boleh approve, review, revise, amend dan semua sekali. And then terus isukan the new MASB ini standard. So this one penting. Hopefully saya ingat untuk saya buat soalan dekat sini lah. The second last one ni antara IFRS dengan GAAP. Very obvious punya difference ialah IFRS ni UK, GAAP ni US. Dia nak buat harmonization, dia nak menyatukan GAAP dengan IFRS ni, dia panggil harmonization tu tak jadi lagi. US tak nak GAAP tu hilang. Contohlah yang ni kan, kalau based on ni, US tak nak GAAP tu hilang dan dicantumkan dengan IFRS. So dia still ada dua. Tapi kerana kita ni orang UK katanya, kita follow UK, so kita guna IFRS. Saya tak sure negara mana yang guna GAAP tu selain daripada US. Mungkin dia punya sekutu-sekutu dia lah guna GAAP. Itu saya tak Google siapa yang guna GAAP. So, biasanya kalau macam kita guna IFRS. MFRS tu memang dia adopt daripada IFRS tu. So kita belajar IFRS. Tapi info kadang-kadang tu info yang kita kena tahu ialah ada satu lagi GAAP. Kita pergi kat pasir paper ni. Pasir paper ni inilah contoh-contoh soalan ni nanti. Dia tanya for potential benefit of adopting international financial reporting IFRS. IFRS ni kita tahulah dia daripada IFRS ni. Dia ada kita ambil dia untuk kita create MFRS. So kalau you nak cerita ni dia nak cerita pasal international punya. Apa benefit kita adopt international IFRS ni. Soalan jawapan dia ni yang Mar bagi ni, again you punya point tu tak boleh lebih daripada not more than 5 words. Sebab you nak point sahaja kat situ. Okay. Contoh kat sini point dia, IFRS standard bring transparent by enhancing the international comparability and quality of financial information. Soalan ni, potential benefit ialah IFRS, you punya word tu dah counting twice, double ya, international financial reporting standards, ada dua. So you buat je IFRS bring transparency, titik. Sebab you nak highlight transparency tu. Atau you letak je transparency. Lepas tu point tu you pergi kat sebelah dia. You tambah kat bawah. IFRS bring transparency by enhancing the international comparability and quality of financial information. This is to enable investor and other market participants to make information and to make informed economic decision. point tu cannot exceed, cannot be more than 5 word. Ini semua ni you kena tak dekat elaboration ataupun explanation. IFRS strengthen accountability. Setuju. Lepas tu sambung sebelah. By reducing the information gap between the provider ni. Key point sahaja. IFRS standard contribute with economic efficiency. Dah titik. Yang lain pergi kat sebelah. IFRS standard broad net benefit. Broad benefit. IFRS broad benefit to capital market. IFRS broad benefit to capital market. Ada 6 perkataan. Ataupun broad benefit to capital market. Ataupun apa-apa yang 5 patah perkataan sahaja. Nah, itu yang saya nak. Sebab you kena tahu point you dekat mana. And then elaboration tu mesti lebih daripada point. Sekarang ni you tengok yang nombor 1 tu nampak macam lebih kurang dengan nombor 2. Nombor 3 tu nampak macam point lagi banyak pada elaboration. Yang keempat tu okey sikit. Sebab point dia pendek, elaboration ada lebih. Okay, next time yang ni next presentation ni semua you kena amend sebab saya nak ajar you macam mana you nak buat, you nak jawab subjek teori. You tak boleh cerita panjang-panjang, tak ada point dekat situ. Dia kena ada point dekat situ. Okay, next ialah 3 main function of MASB. Ini okey sikit. You punya point pertama ni ialah issue new accounting standard, titik. Review, revise, adopt, apa lagi tadi tu? Ada 5 perkataan, titik. Yang bawah ni, amend, substitute, suspend, defer, withdraw, revoke. Review, revise, and adopt standard. Amend, substitute, suspend, defer, withdraw ni, you boleh combine sekali ni, tapi tak apa, you nak buat asing. Sikit je dekat point tu. Yang lain tu you masuk elaboration. Sebab ini dia kata 3 main function of sebab nenek you check lagi 3 main function ni, yang ni saya boleh accept lah untuk 3 main function tu. Tapi you kena revise balik you punya jawapan tu. Kalau you nak buat dalam bentuk point form pun boleh. Satu, dia punya tu sebaris, dia punya key point dia tu. Second, 3 baris bawah tu elaboration. Key point, elaboration. Key point, elaboration. Key point, elaboration. Itu yang saya nak lah daripada presentation you. Okay. Untuk markah presentation hari ini, presentation okay. Slide pun okay. Slightly professional, like professional punya slide lah. Biasa professional slide ni dia kosong-kosong, ada gambar-gambar, dia lebih kurang okey lah. Tak ada masalah dengan punya slide presentation ni. Presentation tu okey. Boleh diterima, tak ada masalah yang besar. So untuk presentation hari ini saya bagi still tak okey sangat sepenuhnya. Saya bagi 8.25. 8.25. You punya presentation okey. You punya slide saya bagi 4. You punya presentation slide 4, presentation you 4.25. So in total 8.25. You ada lagi banyak lagi round untuk you buat presentation, no problem. Just improve. Sebab yang ni kita punya game ni macam big stage, macam the master singer semua tu kan. Dia kena warm up dulu. Final minggu ni final. You kena baru all out. So markah you yang hujung-hujung tu nanti akan banyak. Sekarang ni tengah warm up dulu. Minggu pertama ni, minggu kedua kan. Ada sampai minggu ke-8 big stage nanti. Okay. So markah daripada juri markah daripada juri juara hari ni 8.25.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome. Okay, accounting theories ya. So accounting theories ni saya dah pilih-pilih dah accounting theories. Yang ni you punya body accounting subject ni. Subjek ni inilah dua topik yang number one, yang paling utama. Dua topik, accounting theories and accounting approach. Okay, yang ni for sure akan masuk dalam test dengan final exam. Okay, jom.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and greetings everyone. So, my name is Muhammad Asrul Muhammad Faizal.
Tak ada.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and greetings everyone. So, my name is Muhammad Asrul Muhammad Faizal from BACC 7A with Nur Aisyah binti Yusfandi also from BACC 7A. We will present today about the accounting theory, chapter 3, the overview of accounting theory. So I will go to the first slide. Oh, before that, this is our picture. And then, okay. So for I start about the accounting theory. The first one, I will want everyone understand what different about theory and accounting theory. So the first one, theory is a scheme or system of ideas or statement held as an explanation or account of a group of factor phenomena. And accounting theory is a coherent or logical system of interrelated objectives and fundamentals that can lead to consistent standards. Okay, so next we'll go to the accounting theory. So the importance of the accounting theory is there are for all of them. The first one is provide coherent and systematic framework. Second, evaluate suitability of the current practices. Third, improve accounting practices. Fourth, defend the reputation of accounting profession. And the last one is determine the relation between accounting reporting, decision, and variables. Okay, so this accounting theory you can see on the slide, there are 12 of them. So the first one is public interest theory and the last one is pragmatic accounting theory. So we will go through one by one. Okay. So next slide. Okay, so this is public interest theory. So before I go about public interest theory, I want to share or state that there are theories of regulation which consist of three theory, which is this is the first one, public interest theory, and the second one is regulatory capture theory, and third one is private interest theory. So there are no 1, 2, 3, just three of them. So I will present first public interest theory. As you can see, public interest theory is government regulation is required in the public interest whenever there is market failure. So this is due to lack of competition, barriers of entry, information asymmetry, and public good product. So this theory had there are assumptions about this theory, which is you can see the economic markets are subject to a series of market imperfection or transaction failure. And okay, so I will go to the next slide. The next slide is private interest theory. Okay, private interest theory, as you can see, government are not independent arbiters. So what the arbiters meaning? So arbiters is like the referee or the umpire. So government cannot be the independent arbiters because they are the government, not the person that judge the government. such as referee in the football. Okay, so they will seek the re-election. They will sell their power to coerce or transfer their wealth to those most likely to achieve their re-election. So both these theories believe a market for regulation with similar supply and demand. And then only the highest bidder will be successful in this theory. So the next one is the producer group of regulation able to use the power of government for their own advantage. As you can see, the first one is organized interest group, which is they seeking political protection, and the other groups, which more diffuse, have the limited liability to bid effectively due to organization and the information cost. And the next one is government official. So the government official, they are rationally self-interest. So this theory predict that regulators will use their power to transfer income from those with less political power to those with more. Okay, so this is the second from the three regulation, and the last one is regulatory capture theory. Okay, so the purpose for this theory is to protect the public interest is not achieved, and then the public interest is not protected because those being regulated come to control or dominate the regulator. So the regulator protect or increase their wealth, and the regulator has no independent role to play, but is simply an arbiter between battling interest group. Okay, and then this theory assumes that all members of society are economically rational, private marginal benefit from lobbying, and the government has no independent role in the regulatory process. So also I want to tell you what the occurrence about this theory. So the occurrence of this theory is about the regulated entities, which is their control the regulation and regulation agency. And second one is succeed in coordinating the regulatory bodies activities. And third one is neutralize or ensure non-performance. And the last one is in a subtle process of interaction. So professional accounting bodies or the corporate sector seek to control the setting of accounting standard. If I'm not mistaken, like MASB. Okay, so the next one. Next one is normative agency theory. So agency theory, it is a theory explaining the economic behavior of the main people in the large firm. So as you can see, agency theory hold that modern companies are owned by shareholder but run by manager, and that the economic interests of the two are different. So what I can tell you, the economic interests of these two are different because the manager of the company needs to run the business itself, and he needs to work close with the others worker, close with the business, and is different from the shareholder. So as you can see, managers are seen as agents of shareholder who are seen as the principal, assumed to regard shareholders one as constrained on their own, one which might include the highest possible standard of living finance by very high pay of exclusive clubs and the freedom to invest in prestigious projects. So as I said before, the managers needs to work, needs to operate close to the business, close to the workers. It's different from the shareholder. So let's look about the shareholder. Next slide. Okay, so shareholder as principal own the firm and want to see their wealth conserved and enlarged, which means they want to see sustained and growing profit, sustained and growing dividend rates, and steadily increase share price as a result, not only the sustain of higher profit, but also of the non-substance of steadily rising optimism about the company's future. As I said, managers need to work close with the other workers. So shareholder just just take in the what we say the capital, and they want to see sustained and growing profit, sustained and growing dividend rates, and steadily increase share price as a result. Okay, so that's for the agency theory. So the next one is normative theory. So normative one prescribe what should happen assuming we or the business want a specified outcome such as prosperity. So this theory not necessarily based on observation and therefore cannot be evaluated on the basis of whether the theories reflect actual accounting practices. So this theory, I will share with you. This theory is commonly found in a company business or marketing plan that takes a subjective approach. So as you can see, there are three approaches in this theory. So the first one is inductive approach, which they generate new theory from the data, which is the qualitative research. So it's either true or false. It can be accepted as inductive approach. And the second one is deductive approach. This approach is test the existing theory, which is the quantitative research. So this result or research from this approach needs to be true or needs to be realistic. And the third approach is decision usefulness approach. This approach is test whether output of accounting data is useful to users in making decision. So the example for this theory is if a corporation or company has previously boosted investor dividend payment and is now looking to reinvest fund into the firm to ensure its future viability through corporate sustainability, measure. So the normative accounting will point to issue new share as a sources of funding. Okay, so that's for normative theory, and the last part for mine is positive accounting theory. So this theory seeks to explain a process which use the ability, understanding, and knowledge of accounting and the use of accounting policies that are more suitable for dealing with certain conditions in the future. So this theory is most utilized while the accounting do a data collection and the bookkeeping. So begin with some assumption and through logical deduction seeks to explain and predict accounting practice to predict and explain why managers or accountants select to adopt particular accounting methods in preference to others. So this theory is a bit different from the normative theory. Actually, it's different because positive accounting theory is more focused on the theory, not the physically. So you will more understand if I can share this example. So if an organization had a highly successful financial year, the next year they will have the financial stability to boost investor dividend payment. This make positive accounting theory. This theory would reduce the corporate growth, which cause an increase in shareholder remittance. Okay, so that's all for my part. I will pass to Nur Aisha.
Hi everyone, so let's move on to the behavioral accounting theory. So behavioral accounting theory is to develop an understanding of both cognitive and affective elements of human behavior that influence the decision-making process in all accounting contexts and settings. So this theory has taken human factor into the account, and this is an attempt to measure and record the accountability, judgment, and motivation that individual decision makers have. It is also to test the hypothesis regarding the implication of realistic assumption about human rationality for economic decision in accounting setting, which include the financial, auditing, taxation, managerial, and information system. Then the next one is the system-oriented theory. System-oriented theory is more focused on the role of information and disclosure in the relationship between organization, government, individual, and groups. This is because the entity is assumed to be influenced by the society in which it operates and to have an influence on it. Under system-oriented theory, it includes the stakeholder theory, legitimacy theory, and institutional theory. So, for the first theory under the system-oriented theory is legitimacy theory. Legitimacy theory is the tools that manage the stakeholders' perception of the needs for attaining the organization intimacy and legitimacy. So, the organization continually seek to ensure that they operate within the bounds and norms of the society, and it is also an attempt to ensure their activities are perceived to be legitimate. However, bounds and norms always change across the time, and based on the social contract between the society and the organization, to gain or maintain the legitimacy, the organization might rely on disclosure within their annual report. And the second theory under the system-oriented theory is the stakeholder theory. Stakeholder theory is a theory of organization, management, and business ethics that account for multiple constituency impact by business entities like employee, supplier, local communities, creditors, and others. Under the theory, it also states that the manager of a business must take into the account of all stakeholders and not just the shareholder. So under the stakeholder theory, there are two categories which is related to the normative and the positive approach or theory. So first of all, under the ethical or normative branch, the stakeholders are any groups or individual who can affect or are affected by the achievement of the firm's objective. And all stakeholders have a right to be provided with the information. As for the manager or the positive branch, it is to seek to explain and predict how an organization will react to demand of various stakeholders, and all relative power and importance of the stakeholder need to be considered. The firm will take action to manage its relationship with the stakeholder. So for the institutional theory, institutional theory allow to describe current changes and assess the development of the accounting system from the standpoint of finding the relevant information by user of accounting information. And under this theory, there are two categories of the institutional theory, which is institutional isomorphism and institutional decoupling. So for isomorphism, explain the degree of conformity of organization norms and practice that have been established in a given organization field. And under the isomorphism category, there are three types of category, which is coercive, mimetic, and normative. For coercive, it is exerted by the external stakeholder. For mimetic, it is from the engaged in competition seeking superior performance. And lastly, for the normative, it is exerted from the supplier, customer, and association. As for decoupling, decoupling is the creation and maintenance of gaps between the formal policy and actual organization practice. The actual practices can be very different from the formally sanctioned and publicly pronounced processes and practices. And the last theory is the pragmatic accounting theory. Pragmatic accounting theory is observing the behavior of accountants, of those who use the information provided by them. And under the pragmatic accounting theory, there are two, which is descriptive pragmatic approach and psychological pragmatic approach. Under descriptive pragmatic approach, it is based on the observed behavior of accountant, and the theory developed on how accountant act in certain situation. It is also tested by observing whether accountant do or act in the way of the theory suggested. And the descriptive pragmatic approach can be concluded as it is an inductive approach. As per psychological pragmatic approach, it is depends on the observation of the reaction of users to the accounted outputs, and the reaction is taken as evidence that the output are useful and contain the relevant information. Then that's all from me. Then for the past year paper, November 2005, will be presented by Asrul.
Okay, hello, it's me again. So we go to the past year paper, November 2005. So the question is, although normative theory dominated early accounting research, positive accounting theory has since taken prominence. Godfrey et al. 2003. Many researchers, however, have criticized positive accounting theory. So the question is, identify three major criticisms of this theory. Okay, so we'll go for the answer. The first one is, the key point is seek to explain and predict particular phenomena. The explanation is often developed and supported on the basis of observation, empirically based. The view is that by making numerous observations, one will be in a better position to predict what will happen in future. So that's the first major criticism. And the second criticism is seeks to explain and predict accounting practice. So that's the key point. And the explanation is PAT, which is positive accounting theory, does not seek to prescribe particular action. And normative accounting theories have criticized PAT, which is positive accounting theory, because it does not provide practitioner with guidance, even though it does explain the economics implication that might result from the selection of particular accounting policies. And the last one is the key point, there is no guidance as to what people should do. So PAT theorists on the basis do not want to impose their own views on others, and PAT will prefer to provide information about the expected implication of particular action and let people decide for themselves what they should do. Okay, so that's all for my past year question. I will pass to Aisha.
So for the next question, we get from the past year paper, October 2006. The question is, pragmatic approaches are based on the observing the behavior of accountants or those who use the information generated by accountant. And the question is, differentiate between the descriptive pragmatic approach and the psychological pragmatic approach. So the answer is, so first of all, the differences is theory. As for descriptive pragmatic approach, the theory under the pragmatic approach is based on the observed behavior of accountant. And as for the psychology pragmatic approach, the theory is depends on the observation of the reaction of user to the accountant output. The next difference is the action. Under the descriptive pragmatic approach, it is tested by observing whether the accountant do act in the way theory suggested, and while for the psychological pragmatic approach, the reaction is taken as evidence that the output are useful and contain relevant information. There are also differences in criticism. As for descriptive pragmatic approach, the approach do not consider the quality of an accountant action, and it is also focused on accountant's behavior and not on measuring the attributes of the firms. As for psychological pragmatic approach, some people may react in an illogical manner. Some user might have preconditioned response, and some user may not react when they should. Okay, from us. Is there anyone have any question? Thank you.
Okay, thank you Asrul dengan Aisyah. Okay, now I open for Q&A session. One question, one bonus mark. Okey, tak ada.
Sir, I have a question.
Naili.
Who is the person that created all the stated theory yang korang explain?
Apa yang create teori tu?
Okay, so may I answer that question?
Yes.
I'm not discover all the theory, but one of the theory, the public interest theory, has two acceptable concept, which is the first one is embraced by Stigler in 1971, and the second person is Posner in 1974. So they explain that this theory, which is the regulation, seeks the protection and benefit of the public lah. So that's my answer. Stigler and Posner.
Okay, next soalan tu tak akan saya tanya dalam final exam test. Just general information. Okay, next Q&A. Okay, tak ada ya.
Nak tanya boleh ke?
Boleh. Okay, soalan
I have a question. Can Isha or perhaps Asrul explain the difference between normative and positive?
the difference between normative and positive. Normative, positive.
So let me answer the question given by Sabrina. Okay, so in simple word lah kan. So positive tu actually, positive theory tu macam objektif dia untuk kita faham and predict apa tu accounting policy across the different firms. And untuk normative theory pula, objektif dia adalah untuk bagi tahu manager ataupun sesuatu business tu apa yang dia perlu buat in order untuk capai goals dalam firm tu. Kalau salah boleh betulkan, sir. Terima kasih.
Okay, soalan lain. Okay. Okay, ni contoh ya. Saya ada share kan accounting saya punya. Ni Naili nak nama Hendrickson. What's theory? Pre-theory, you tengok tahun dia. Dia start dengan pre-theory, Goldberg. Pragmatic accounting theory, 1800. Normative, start dengan pragmatic. Normative, 1956. Normative ni ialah macam mana kita hidup secara normal. Normally kita debit, normally satu transaction tu kita kena debit apa, kena credit apa. The ideal one. What should be versus what it is. Dekat sini dia fokus what should be. Maksud bila you nak buat account tu apa yang patutnya, what should be. Okay. Yang ni kalau nak compare dengan positif ni, positif yang ni, next positif ni, dia dah lebih advance sikit pada normatif tu. Dia dah banyak accept benda-benda yang is a positive, maksud dia banyak buat analisis, and then dia banyak persoalan. Okay, kenapa you kata dia sepatutnya, contohnya bangunan di value based on historical. Sepatutnya historical sebab kita ada keluar duit. Mungkin positif ni dia kata sepatutnya kita kena guna market value. Sebab market value adalah harga sekarang. Orang tu kata kita bayar dulu 1 juta je. Itu should be 1 juta lah. It should be 1 million. It should be. What should be? 1 million lah because kita ada report, kita ada actual. Sekarang ni kita kata dah tak boleh dah yang tu. So kita dah melalui banyak judgement lah apa semua ni. Kita pun shift kat new norms. Okay, panggil dia positif. Sekarang ni kita kena ikut market value. So dia explain apa practice yang kita tengok sekarang ni. Kalau bila nak jual tiba-tiba dia 1 juta jadi 5 juta after 10 years. So dia observe, dia come out dengan teori baru. Kita kena positif, kita kena looking forward. It's a way forward and then kita guna market value. Contoh dekat sini lah. Okay. Teori ni kata contohnya dia nak tengok akan datang apa lagi new accounting theory, new rules, standard, regulation yang kita boleh improve from time to time untuk jadi accounting better. Okay. Sekarang dulu kita tak cerita pasal wealth maximization zaman-zaman dulu. Sekarang ni nak cerita pasal wealth, company wealth banyak mana, company tu banyak mana, company ni banyak mana, apa yang latest, apa yang sana, apa yang sini. Yang tu semua false. Sebab dia kata sini positive theory ni 1952 until today. So kita guna positif rather than kita guna normative, norm. Biasanya normal orang Malaysia normally orang Malaysia dia macam ni. Tak. Kita need to become very positive. Manusia kena macam ni. Mungkin orang Malaysia kena follow manusia seluruh dunia. Macam ni. Itu simple je lah. Simple. You boleh baca lagi lah. You tak perlu hafal teori ni sebab you takkan guna pun masa kerja. Ada yang inilah dia punya isu bila subjek accounting teori ni semuanya macam buku law. Kadang-kadang saya pun tak faham sangat pun sebab dia teori. Dan teori ni kita tak praktis pun, kita tak guna pun. Sikit-sikit je. Yang biasa saya guna pun kalau sini pun agensi teori je. Yang tadi agensi yang saya guna kat sini pun biasa hidup-hidup ni agensi teori sahaja. Agensi dia kena ada agent, dia kena ada principal. Teori dia kena ada 2 orang. Agent dan principal bekerja bersama-sama. Seorang ni bekerja berdasarkan apa yang principal cakap. Principal ni dia mengharapkan agent untuk uruskan company dia. Teori-teori lain ni tak guna dah. For the sake of you belajar sahaja. So saya tak tekankan teori-teori ni as long as you faham ada banyak teori accounting. Biasanya teori-teori accounting nama foundation dulu ada teori-teori historical cost concept lah apa semua tu. Itu pun teori juga konsep-konsep accounting. Yang ni macam sebanyak-banyak accounting teori ni kita guna agency teori je. Yang biasanya kita dengar. Apa tu dengan stakeholder teori. Institutional story pun ada juga. Yang lain tu tak ada sangat pun. So for the sake of you dah belajar untuk you tahu bahawasanya subjek ni kita banyak teori-teori yang accounting orang-orang account buat zaman-zaman dulu. Macam private interest, public interest. Ini lebih kepada kepentingan awam. Teori kepentingan awam. Kerajaan kena campur tangan. So ada public. Private ni kerajaan tak campur tangan dah. Contohlah kan, comparison kan. Dia bagi orang lain. Contohnya dekat sini government are not independent. Jadi government ni dia mungkin dia ada masa dia backup private company instead of public. Dia maksudnya dia menjaga private company, dia jaga TMB, dia jaga Petronas, dia private interest. Mungkin dia punya benefit kat situ, so dia menyokong Petronas. Mungkin sebab dia dapat dividen daripada Petronas, daripada TMB, so dia mengamalkan private interest theory. Contohlah kan, orang-orang politik. Orang politik Malaysia, dari segi ni dia suka guna public interest ke private interest. For sure, mungkin sebahagiannya suka private interest. Dia kepentingan peribadi. Kepentingan awam, kepentingan peribadi. Lain kan? Okay. Macam contoh teori predict regulators will use their power. Kerajaan akan guna power dia cakap harga minyak akan naik. Contohnya kan, okey, harga minyak akan turun. So dia bagi impact dekat Petronas. Harga tarif elektrik akan naik. Dia bagi impact dekat TNB. So you kena bayar elektrik tinggi, TNB pun bayar dividen dekat kerajaan tinggi. So kerajaan dapat duit. Contohnya, regulatory capture ni sama juga. Dia menggunakan undang-undang untuk dia buat sesuatu yang mungkin undang-undang itu tak protect from public interest. Okay. And then mungkin undang-undang tu dia buat, mungkin undang-undang tu dibuat atas beberapa faktor yang boleh memberi benefit kepada sebilangan orang sahaja. Okay. Mungkin ada apa? Orang kata apa? Ada campur tangan daripada orang luar. Okay. Agency teori ni adalah ada principal, shareholder, ada agent, manager act on behalf of the principal. Ini juga biasanya kita akan guna. Normative, positive accounting theory, behavioral ni accounting masuk sekali dengan behavior, masuk sekali dengan emosi. Bila nak buat accounting tu kena ada emosi sekali, kena ada judgement. Kenapa tu, kenapa ni? Auditor tak boleh jahat, auditor kena baik, auditor kena tu. Lepas tu kita buat macam pelik je, so jom kita investigate. Dia sekali dengan emosi termasuk sekali. Maksud accounting tu dia kena alive, dengan figure sahaja. Kita kena ada explanation. Contohlah. Dan lain-lain tu you boleh fahamkan sendiri, bacakan sendiri. So dia banyak. Stakeholder ni biasalah kita guna dengan institutional. Tapi bila cerita pasal isomorphism, decoupling semua, sampai sudah you takkan guna. Okay. So saya tak adalah nak highlight sangat benda ni sebab kita hanya guna sekali sahaja waktu subjek ni. Masuk dunia bekerja, so tak apa-apalah ni pragmatic accounting theory kan semua tak ada. Okay. Cumanya markah tak boleh bagi penuh. Sebab you, kalau ini senior punya senior yang saya share, accounting theory punya slide senior ni, Fatin Najwa ni dengan Hidayah, daripada awal sampai akhir ni, you lebih kurang. Bagi saya mungkin 80% sama. You tukar background je. So saya bagi slide tu untuk senangkan you, untuk senangkan supaya you ada rujukan. Tapi nampak macam you copy je. Sebab saya bagi dalam slide presentation kan, dia sama je kalau saya bagi dalam slide ke, kalau saya tak bagi dalam slide pun you boleh convert. Tapi you macam copy masuk dekat slide you. Lepas tu you rearrange. Kalau dia ada 4 point lah you letak kat situ. Macam positive accounting theory ni. You ada tambah sikit-sikit lah, sikit sangat you tambah. Macam pasir, dia tak ada pasir ni, you ada pasir.
So lepas tu kami refer yang slide PDF kasih tu juga lebih kurang juga. And internet pun sama juga.
Setuju. Setuju yang tu. Tetapi bila saya tengok perkataan by perkataan tu sama. Maksudnya you arrange lah, you rearrange balik. You mungkin contohnya bila you Google ya. So saya ada refer dekat saya punya dekat yang saya bagi ni, macam yang ni slide yang lama. Contohnya normative accounting theory. Dia ada 3 induktif. Jadi lain sikit dia punya perkataan tu, ada lean 1174, dia tak sama. Ni tak sama sikit. System oriented ni focus on role of information, dia lain. Ni pun saya ada bagi juga. Legitimacy ada ni, Suchman lah apa semua ni kan. Stakeholder theory extended from legitimacy, extend shareholder theory, stakeholder theory. Dia banyak stakeholder theory ni. Lain kan, lain sikit pada you punya. Ataupun saya ni contoh Ke kiri, you kanan. Kiri kanan. Ini saya guna monitor sebelah lah. Ini yang sini. Dari mana kat sini? Ini contohnya. Kiri kanan. Tak ada problem. Cuma markah dia rendah sikit lah. Macam tu. Dia start pada atas. Legitimus. Okay, contohnya behavior. Positive behavior. Human factor is taken into account. Human factor is taken into account. Sama. Attempt to measure, maker must have. Test positive setting, yes. Include, you copy je. Lepas tu example ni you tak buat lah. Dia tu yang saya cakap 80% tu. System oriented, focus on role. Focus on the role. Delete sikit, the entity. Include system oriented ada 3, legitimacy theory ada organization bound, base to gain. Sama je ha. So markah slide tu tak banyak. Info tak ada masalah. Presentation pun tak ada masalah. Okay. So you punya ni markah you presentation tak ada masalah. Okay. Present faham. Cuma sebab teori kan, itu taklah terlalu sangat clearnya untuk yang ni. So untuk slide ni saya bagi biasa-biasa je lah. Sebab info tambahan tu tak banyak. So saya bagi 3.5. Yang presentation ni saya bagi 4 lah. Sebab presentation yang compare dengan sebelum ni dengan sekarang tu tak banyak improvement lagi. Dia still sama. So dia maintain je. Tapi okey, tak ada masalah. Maksudnya tak adalah teruk sangat. Cuma slide tu je sebab isu yang tu lah. Sikit-sikit tu. Okey. Tak apa, you still ada 8 sebab nanti saya akan ambil the best. Mungkin the best 2, the best 3 kan. So still boleh guna lagi 8 ni. Untuk kali ni saya kurangkan sikit dekat slide presentation. No problem. Next week you ada satu lagi. Sebelum puasa ni you ada satu lagi round. And then you boleh improve. Tak ada masalah. Okay. Last presentation hari ini sebelum kita end kita punya kelas accounting approach. Yang sampai topik 4 sahaja yang benda-benda teori ni. Topik-topik akan datang semua dah tak ada dah. Green accounting, sustainability accounting, earning management, earning quality, creative accounting semua dah tak ada teori dah. Yang penting dia punya ni yang atas ni. Topik 1 sampai topik 4 tu semua dah settle dah. Accounting teori-teori semua yang kita nak guna conceptual framework semua. So this one last ni accounting approach pula. Okay, jom. Okay, slide masuk dalam ni apa ni WhatsApp.
Assalamualaikum, saya nampak tak sir?
Nampak, okey.
Okay.
Boleh nampak.
Okay, okay, so saya start sekarang ni.
Boleh.
Okay.
At the same time saya tengok slide, at the same time saya tengah review yang slide you punya senior jugalah. Untuk saya punya ni. Reference output.
Okay.
Ini kita punya best. First round, so kita nak tengok presentation today. Better ke?
Reset ni malu lah kita.
Tidak. Mata Siti Nurhaliza nak big stage lah, malu lah saya. Okay.
Dengarlah sir. Okay. Okay, so today our group, Assalamualaikum and a very good night to all of you. Today our group
consists me, Siti Syakran Zafira, binti Muhammad Rabi, and my teammate Hana Najah binti Hamra will be presenting about Chapter 4, Accounting Approach. So I will pass the floor to the next presenter.
Okay, saya boleh dengar tak suara saya?
Boleh.
Okay, so my name is Hana Najah binti Hamra. So today I would like to present about the principle-based standard. This is the rules-based standard. Okay, next. Okay, so principle-based standard. Principle-based accounting suggests a comply or explain policy. Okay, ini bermaksud setiap syarikat yang guna sistem ni kita kena patuh mengikut prinsip yang ditetapkan. Okay, so if diorang gagal, diorang kena kemukakan the reasonable explanation sebab berlaku penyelewengan daripada prinsip yang telah ditetapkan. So yang pakai selalunya yang pakai benda ni adalah IFRS. IFRS adalah principle based standard. So it is the most popular accounting method around the globe. So ramailah orang pakai IFRS dalam dunia ni. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so this is a rules-based standard. Rules-based accounting is a standardized process of reporting financial statement. Okay, untuk rules-based standard pula, setiap syarikat kena mematuhi sistem ni mengikut peraturan yang ditetapkan. Dia peraturan yang orang kata yang ketat lah, lebih ketat daripada yang first tadi, yang principle-based standard. Okay, so the GAAP, the Generally Accepted Accounting Principle System is the rules-based accounting method used in the United States. So maknanya jadi GAAP ni merupakan sistem yang berdasarkan rules-based standard yang digunakan di United States lah. So this method is used when a company releases its financial statements to the public. Okay, next. Okay, so this is the difference between the principle-based standard versus the rules-based standard. Okay, for the principle-based standards, it is not a legal requirement. So maknanya principle-based standard ni dia berasaskan prinsip, dia bertujuan untuk kita create guidelines dan bukan untuk kita mengikut peraturan yang ketat lah. Kalau rules-based standard ni dia legal requirement. So standard ni berdasarkan peraturan dan dia tak semestinya bergantung kepada theoretical framework. Okay, second one is Code of Corporate Governance is a set of the best practices that companies should follow. So maknanya the board can follow the best practices that laid out through the company. And the rules-based standard, Code of Corporate Governance is a set of the legal requirements mentioned in the Act. So rules-based standard ni dia mengikut keperluan undang-undang untuk syarikat supaya dia mematuhi peraturan yang ditetapkan. Okay, next, compliance or non-compliant judgment are being made by the owners of the business. So maknanya kepatuhan dan tak kepatuhan yang terjadi kat dalam syarikat tu, judgment dia akan dibuat oleh owner business tu sendiri. So untuk rules-based standard, compliance or non-compliance judgment are being made by the court. Sebab kalau kita gagal untuk mengikut rules-based standard ni yang telah ditetapkan ni, dia akan dikenakan tindakan lah oleh akta yang telah ditetapkan. Okay, so this is the untuk principle-based standard, this is the usual approach which most organisation in the world are practicing because dia ada flexibility dan mengikut kesesuaian syarikat itu sendiri. So dia peraturan dia tak terlalu ketat. Untuk rules-based standard, practically it is difficult to set up rules that are suitable for every set of circumstances. Okay, lastly, principle-based standard, non-compliance will result in an explanation to the shareholders by the board. Okay, sebagai macam saya cakap tadi, kalau macam dia ada buat ketidakkepatuhan kepada syarikat mengikut principle-based standard ni, dia akan bagi reasonable explanation terhadap shareholder company itu sendiri. Okay, untuk rules-based standard, non-compliance will result in heavy penalties in the form of fines. Sebab dia mengikut akta undang-undang kerajaan lah. Okay, next. Okay, this is a free market approach and regulatory approach. Okay, a free market is the one where voluntary exchange and the loss of supply and demand provide the sole basis for the economic system without government interventions. Okay, ini maksudnya free market ni adalah pasaran bebas. Sistem ekonomi ni berdasarkan supply and demand tanpa campur tangan kerajaan. So it means an economy with unobstructed competition and only private transaction between buyers and sellers. So maknanya persaingan dia tanpa halangan sebab transaksi jualan tu adalah antara penjual dengan pembeli sahaja. Okay, for the regulatory approach, embodiment of accounting standard, and it is based on the suggestion that accounting theory must be developed by identifying account users and finding out what information they need. Okay, untuk regulatory approach pula, dia memerlukan kerajaan untuk restrict ataupun mengarahkan aktiviti regulated parties ni mengikut terms and condition yang ditetapkan dalam instrumen berkanun. Okay, next. Okay, so I will explain about the value in use approach and value in exchange approach. Okay, untuk value in use approach, it is the one satisfying power of a commodity, the satisfaction which one obtains from the use of a commodity is known as the value in use. Okay, untuk lebih faham, saya bagi contoh. Contoh air. Air dia nilai kegunaan dia tinggi sebab kita memerlukan air dalam kehidupan kita. Kita nak mandi ke, kita haus ke, kita memerlukan air. So tak ada air ni jadi macam terganggu. So maknanya kualiti air ni adalah macam orang kata value in use. Okay, untuk value in exchange pula, it is the amount of goods and services which we may obtain in the market in exchange of a particular things. So it depends on two things, time and places. For the times, value in exchange depend on time element. That is, with the change in time value in exchange for a commodity in respect to other commodity will vary. For the places, value in exchange for a particular commodity varies from one market to other markets. Hence, it varies according to time and place. Okay, sebagai contoh, kalau untuk value in exchange ni adalah harga barang yang dijual beli di pasaran. Contoh, saya ada 1 kg beras. Kalau Syakira dia ada 1 kotak pisang, 1 kotak penuang pisang. So kita boleh cakap yang kalau saya buat pertukaran dengan Syakira, kira macam sistem barter tu, saya punya nilai 1 kg beras tu adalah sama dengan nilai 1 kotak pisang tu. So maknanya benda tu ada value in exchange. So kalau sebagai contoh, air tadi dia ada nilai yang besar tapi dia bukan nilai yang orang kata sesuai untuk value in exchange. Kalau macam value in exchange, macam contoh emas. Emas dia ada nilai exchange tapi dia tak ada value in use. Sebab komoditi such as emas ni dia tak penting untuk keperluan hidup manusia. So these commodities dia mempunyai value in use tu kurang. Tapi disebabkan emas ni kita susah nak dapat, jadi dia punya value in exchange tu tinggi. So maknanya value in use ni merujuk kepada kegunaan komoditi yang dalam kehidupan seharian lah orang kata. Dalam kehidupan kita lah. So kalau value in exchange pula dia macam merujuk pada nilai komoditi in terms of price macam tu. So jadi value in use and value in exchange ni adalah dua konsep yang berbeza. Okay, so I will pass the presentation to Shakira.
Okay. So my topic I will be talk about the current cost accounting. So current cost accounting is the asset measured according replacement cost in financial statements, and where the profit measured differently by comparing revenues with the assets. So untuk current cost accounting ni mostly digunakan lah, selalu digunakan disebabkan current cost accounting sangat reliable as all the asset will be according to the current market value punya cost lah. Then kita ada the features of CCA, current cost accounting, where fixed assets are shown not at their depreciated original cost but at their net replacement value. Then gains and losses due to the changes in the price level are shown in a separate statement. stocks are shown at their net replacement value. Then we have a depreciation is calculated at the current value of asset, and inventory consumed is valued at the price at the date of consumption. So mostly the current cost accounting ni mostly in use because it provide more information lah than other accounting approach. So next, we have a historical cost accounting, where is the historical cost is the original cost of an asset as recorded in an entity's accounting records. So historical cost principle, the transaction of a business tend to be recorded at their net historical cost, where business should only record an asset, liability or equity investment at its original acquisition cost. So historical cost ni pula, setiap business tu yang menggunakan historical cost, dia akan record dia asset dekat diorang punya acquisition cost. Maksudnya kalau diorang beli satu bangunan tu 5 tahun lepas berharga 5 juta, so diorang akan kira macam tu. Diorang akan kira in the future still 5 juta. But sebab tu historical cost accounting biasa akan dibandingkan dengan CCA, current cost accounting, because current cost accounting is more valuable, I think more relatable as sebab historical cost dia biasa dia takkan masukkan cost daripada inflation ataupun dia tak ada adjustment dekat situ tau. Tapi dekat current cost accounting ni akan ada adjustment untuk inflation and fluctuation of the economy that happen. So dia akan effect dekat asset yang diorang record tu nanti. So then next we have a market value accounting system, where the market value is usually used to describe how much an asset or company is worth in a financial market. It is mutually determined by market participants and is interchangeably used for market capitalization when dealing with asset and companies. So it called as open market valuation. So basically untuk this type of accounting approach, anything, contoh a company tu dia nak jual satu asset ataupun maybe dia jual building ke, dia akan tetapkan the price at the market value. Tapi sebab dia open market, so dia punya client tu diorang akan deal lah. Dia akan tengok maybe macam dia dapat kat situ yang mana lebih macam berbaloi kan. So diorang akan bincang tau. Dia akan so ada yang ni ada apa-apa tak yang boleh effect harga dia sekarang yang daripada apa yang terjadi dulu ke dia akan effect harga dia sekarang. So mostly klien akan tengok daripada situ lah. So mostly akan biasa yang ni akan digunakan untuk internal. So diorang akan check, diorang akan bagi all the information yang klien nak. So that's terjadinya open market valuation lah. Then we have accrual accounting. So accrual accounting is a concept of recording revenues when earned and expenses as incurred. So to be easier, as revenues and expenses should be recognized in the same period. Maksudnya accrual concept ni dia punya income dengan expenses akan direkodkan apabila dia terjadi tau. Tapi bila terjadi tu biasanya terakrul ni kita tak bayar dulu. Kita akan macam dia dah dapat note daripada, contoh macam kita dapat debit note ke atau apa-apa. So kita akan buat tu, kita akan tengok lah dia tak accrue kan untuk tahun tu. So kita akan record dia as a accrual accounting. Then we have a cash accounting, an accounting method where payment receipts are recorded during the period in which they are received and expenses are recorded in the period in which they are actually paid. To be easier, all the expenses and earning yang menggunakan cash akan direkodkan serta-merta. So yang tu cash accounting lah. Mostly cash accounting biasa digunakan biasa dekat contoh macam kedai runcit kan diorang kan ada cash tu kan, diorang akan ada dua lah. Biasa kedai-kedai biasa, kedai-kedai kecil ni dia akan guna dua, cash dengan accrual. Biasa accrual ni terjadi bila diorang nak beli barang kat supplier ke macam tu. Tapi cash accounting ni biasa antara kita dengan klien tu lah macam tu. So this is a past year paper. We use a past year paper question DHU September 2020. So question 3B, critics of historical costs have argued that reporting on the income that matches inputs on historical cost basis with no recognition of the changing value of assets and liabilities is misleading and results in incorrect dividend policy. So dia cakap daripada Godfrey ETAL 2020. So they required discuss three criticism of historical cost accounting as compared with current cost accounting. So yang ni based, ni jawapan daripada kita orang sendiri. Tapi kita orang compare lah. Contoh jawapan pertama sebab dia nak markah, so kita ada tak 2 point. So untuk first kali, historical cost of an asset is not necessarily relevant at a later point in time, as it will be not relevant in the meantime, as the current cost accounting have also been recorded all their asset into the current market value that be more suitable for the clients to know about the asset information. Since kadang-kadang klien ni dia macam dia nak tahu macam kepenggunaan ataupun ketahanan suatu aset tu, adakah dia berbalik untuk diorang beli atau tak tahu. So kalau macam diorang guna historical cost, dia jadi macam contoh kalau dia beli satu bangunan tu 5 juta, tapi pada masa kini current market value dia ada dah 12 juta. So kalau contoh dia tetapkan 5 juta juga, orang tak tahu tau macam mana aset ni punya liquidity. So orang takkan nampak kat situ. Then historical cost also not providing the intangible asset in the financial statement, but the current cost is more relevant and provide up to the information in the financial statement. So macam saya dah cakap tadi, kan dekat features of CCA tadi dia dah cakap dah. Sebab tu CCA ni biasa dia punya information lagi banyak lah. Macam historical cost ni, diorang takkan provide intangible asset dekat financial statement. Tapi current cost accounting diorang akan provide everything yang related dan akan letak dekat separate statement tau. So that client akan nampak kat situ lah. Then lastly, historical cost does not include the inflation adjustment that compare with the current cost is taking the adjustment of inflation into their account. So contohlah kalau ada sesuatu terjadi dekat ekonomi, fluctuation of economy, diorang akan ambil kira faktor tu dan diorang akan effect dekat the current value of the asset sendiri lah kalau menggunakan CCA. Tapi historical cost ni dia akan still maintain macam tu je. So that's all from us. Thank you for listening. Any question?
Okay, open to the floor for Q&A session. Ada soalan tak? Tak ada ya? Okay. Tak ada soalan.
Sir, I have a question.
Okay, siapa?
Dini Lim, Jauhara Dini.
Jauhara. Okay.
Okay, what is the difference between the current cost accounting and the historical cost? And macam mana dia punya method dia? Pengiraan dia tu.
Okay, for method dia, mostly untuk historical cost accounting ni, dia all the business record, diorang akan record dia punya asset at the original cost atau dekat purchase price dekat balance sheet tau. So diorang takkan ada adjustment. So diorang akan just remain dekat balance sheet je, and then dekat financial statement tu dia takkan state lah. So kira macam dia akan asingkan benda tu, dia takkan state pun berapa harga asal. Tapi kalau sisi current cost accounting pula, mostly current cost accounting mostly diorang akan kira tau, current cost accounting diorang akan kira daripada, diorang akan menggunakan macam ada beberapa method tau untuk diorang kira. Macam profit tadi diorang akan kira by comparing revenues dengan asset, tapi asset tu dekat current value. Diorang akan compare, lepas tu diorang akan letak lah. Saya diorang akan letak yang mana dia akan compare revenue with the current replacement cost of the asset consumed in the earning process. Kiranya inventory, kiranya perbezaan tu dia akan letak dekat situ, dekat dalam financial statement. Lepas tu CCA ni juga mostly diorang lebih digunakan oleh business sebab pengiraan diorang tu menggunakan cost flow method, di mana diorang akan letak diorang akan make sure income statement dengan balance sheet tu kira macam boleh kata tak ada menunjukkan perbezaan yang ketara tau. Kira macam cost of goods sold pun diorang akan record under current cost, and also gross margin figure pun diorang akan letak juga dekat sales, dekat current cost, and also semuanya kira macam diorang akan state semua item tu dekat statement, and takkan ada yang tertinggal. Mostly complete lah. And biasanya yang kalau CCA ni dia memang tak dia bukan under GAAP, tapi dia selalu digunakan since sekarang ramai yang lagi percaya, ramai yang lagi nampak yang current cost accounting ni pengiraan dia lagi tepat daripada historical cost accounting. Tu je. Menjawab tak?
Okay, ada soalan lain?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, kita go through you punya slide. Okay, kalau you tanya comparison between historical cost dengan current cost, okay. Basic dia historical cost tu, kalau you beli satu item, you ada invoice and then you bayar. Itu you akan guna invoice tu selama-lama hidup you. You tak akan buat apa-apa dengan invoice. Okay. Kalau compare dengan current cost, sebab you guna historical data yang actual data tu. Kalau current cost, dia guna cost semasa. Cost hari ini. Berapa? Contoh kereta very simple kereta lah. Kereta you beli kereta dulu harga contoh kereta mahal lah, harga 100,000. Masa itu you beli harga 100,000. Okay, you buat depreciation lah, itulah inilah semua tu. Bila you nak jual, okay, contohnya you dapat net book value dia, you kata ni net book value saya ni selepas 7 tahun ada value RM30,000 based on atas buku you kira 10% ke atas you punya depreciation asset kereta you. Tetapi bila you hantar dekat kedai, saya kata saya guna market value, current value lah, current market value. Baru RM20,000. Tu beza dia. Kalau you guna buku accounting historical dia adalah RM30,000. Bila you pergi kat kedai, you nak jual kereta you, baru RM20,000. So ada beza. Very simple bangunan. Building tu memang sangat sangat menarik lah. You beli rumah, ayah you beli rumah 30 tahun lepas, harga 100,000. Sekarang ni kita kena ikut based on market value. Market value dia sekarang dah 300,000. So you nak cerita, sekarang kalau kawan you tanya, berapa harga rumah you? Oh, harga dia 100,000 lah. Sekarang pun 100,000 juga. 100,000 juga sekarang ni. Saya nak guna historical cost concept ni, 100,000 juga. Tak nak 300,000. So nanti kalau boleh tak saya beli dengan harga 100,000. Bolehlah sebab saya nak guna historical cost concept. Masih tak kan? Masa tu mesti bilang, saya nak guna current market value ni. Baru so harga 300,000. Tu beza dia. Satu lagi, accrual basis dengan cash basis. Satu contoh yang sangat senang untuk faham ya. Cash basis orang kerajaan pakai. Accrual basis orang swasta pakai. Cash basis dia ada P&L, dia tak ada balance sheet. Accrual basis ada P&L, ada balance sheet. You pergilah ke jabatan kerajaan mana-mana, you minta dia P&L dengan balance sheet, dia takkan ada. Dia ada apa? Kalau dalam bajet tu, bajet menguruskan. Bajet menguruskan dengan bajet, lupa dah. Apa dia punya term tu? Bajet menguruskan dengan apa ya? Saya lupa dah term bajet ni. Kita tengok apa berdasarkan outcome cara menguruskan bajet ni. Bukan, dia ada belanjawan tu, dia ada peruntukan untuk pengurusan. Peruntukan untuk apa saya lupa dah. Dia tak guna, dia macam cash flow tu. Duit masuk, duit keluar. Perbelanjaan mengurus. Yang mesti perbelanjaan mengurus dan perbelanjaan mengurus dan pembangunan ekonomi. Perbelanjaan mengurus dan perbelanjaan pembangunan. So dia dua. Biasa kalau dia buat perbelanjaan dia tu, dia based on menguruskan negara dengan membangunkan negara. So dia keluar duit pun, tapi contoh kalau dia beli aset, dia beli, kerajaan beli 1 bilion bangunan ke, dia tak akan masuk 1 bilion tu dalam balance sheet dia sebab dia tak ada balance sheet. Dia masuk, dia keluar. Dia masuk tu cukai, dia keluar tu semua yang dia buat belanja tu lah. Perbelanjaan menguruskan perbelanjaan pembangunan untuk infrastruktur lah. Dia tanya lah orang kerajaan, dia tak ada balance sheet, dia tak ada SOPF. Dia ada duit keluar, duit masuk. Duit keluar, duit masuk. Yang kadang-kadang tak tally pun. Duit keluar, duit masuk tu tally lah. Tahun ni duit keluar 1 juta. Duit masuk, contohnya tahun ni kerajaan peruntukan 1 juta. Okey, duit masuk 1 juta. Duit mengurus tu mungkinlah 500,000 je. 500,000 lagi dia pulang kepada kerajaan. Kalau macam kita accrual basis, kalau kita bayar gaji, kita belajar accrual kan. Accrual gaji ke accrual maksudnya bulan ni sepatutnya ada tapi kita tak bayar lagi. Atau kita hold dulu untuk bulan depan. So dia jadi accrual prepayment semua tu. Accrual basis ada balance sheet, ada P&L. Sebab kita nak balancekan imbangan juga kita. Duit keluar mesti sama dengan duit masuk. Dan kalau perbelanjaan tu dalam P&L, Kalau dalam balance sheet, dalam balance sheet. Itu cash basis dengan accrual basis. Historical cost dengan current cost tu tak ada masalah bagi saya. Simple sahaja. Tak ada isu. Sebab current dengan yang dah lepas. Lagi yang lain-lain tu fiscal. Tak ada banyak lah. Principle base dengan rule base. Principle MFRS, rule base GAAP. Saya rasa kalau kat US, kalau you salah buat account, macam mana? You tak recognize. Kalau you ada kesalahan yang you buat dalam account you mungkin banyak kali kena masuk mahkamah. Maksud kesalahan yang you buat tu kena punish. Kesalahan yang you buat tu kena punish. Tapi kalau principle ni aslinya tak. Dia based on macam you salah, you mungkin boleh baiki. You boleh reverse balik ke apa semua. Mungkin auditor akan bagi tu, auditor akan bagi ni, auditor suruh baiki balik yang apa dia ada restatement, next year punya ada restatement lah, hari tu ada ni. And then kalau macam dia suruh you guna straight line method, you guna reducing balance method, lepas tu you kena. Sebab macam prinsipal dia tengok lah, dia boleh pilih straight line method ke reducing balance method. Kalau GAAP saya rasa dia ada undang-undang dia, you memang kena guna yang tu je. You tak guna, you kena dekat mahkamah. Benda-benda yang penting lah, benda tak penting tu tak masuk mahkamah lah. Untuk tak ada soalan kan? So untuk markah, saya still rasa presentation ni masih menarik lah. Saya tak tahu kenapa nak kata favoritism tu, mungkin lah, saya tak tahu. Tapi saya still nak bagi dia markah tinggi juga. Tak tahu kenapa. Jadi dia still dapat 8.5. Still the highest untuk maksudnya presentation pertama dengan kedua ni. Still saya nak bagi dia markah tinggi, saya tak tahu kenapa. So 8.5 untuk presentation yang ini. So mereka berdua still berada di hati saya, di hati peminat lah, di hati netizen. Sama seperti Datuk Seri Vida lah, so 2 juta dah dia punya MZ dia, ku ikhlaskan. Okay, so orang you kutuk-kutuk Datuk Seri Vida pun tetap you tengok video. Tetap suka Datuk Seri Vida, sama macam saya. Apa yang Siti Syakirah Zafirah Miranda tu buat, saya still suka. Okay. Cukup untuk hari ini, kita sambung hari Selasa, Khamis. Lagi 3 grup tu dia buat second round dia ada hari Selasa, third round tu hari Khamis dan juga sehari sebelum puasa tu. Puasa hari Selasa kan? Mungkin hari Ahad ku ataupun hari Isnin tapi bukan malam. Sebab Isnin malam saya ada kelas. Satu hari ni untuk kita clearkan 3 round sebelum puasa. So minggu pertama puasa tu kita tak ada kelas. You kena bulan beribadah katanya. You kena ni lah, kena istirahat. Okay. Apa-apa kita sambung minggu depan hari Selasa. Improve you punya presentation 8.5 tu bagus sebab kalau saya ambil 2 dia jadi 17/20 carry mark you tinggi. 17/20. So okey dah tu. You target 8.5. Kalau 9 tu is a bonus point. Presentation you bagus dengan slide you bagus. Suara clear, faham. You cuba nak sampaikan, cuba nak explain instead of baca slide. Tu you kena bagi saya punya tu. Biar kena saya puas hati. Okay? Kalau tak ada apa-apa lagi, kita jumpa next week. See you then. Assalamualaikum. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you semua. Thank you. Thank you.